Well, to buy or to build, that has always been a potential homeowner's headache, because if you choose to decide whichever option, there are pros and cons, but the question has always been, how do you gauge the pros? And it helps you to come up with the best idea. That's the conversation that we want to have this morning as we look into the question of home ownership here in Kenya. You know for sure that the question of mortgage has always been a thorny issue because, of course, the cost of mortgage in this country has always been very high. And despite various policies to try and intervene to bring the cost of mortgage down, well, commercial lenders have never, ever managed to bring down the cost of mortgage in this country. And what do we need to do exactly in order to force or to depress the cost of mortgage in this country? We're also going to have that conversation right here on BIZ, and later on we shall be looking at the question of engineering in Kenya, the built environment, with the cases of collapsing buildings, going up. Well, we want to look at the quality of our engineers and, of course, the regulations around the engineering fraternity. Those are some of the issues that we are focusing here on BIZ. And, of course, remember, the top leadership of Azimio la Umoja is meeting at Kenyatta International Convention Center. We are keeping an eye to see what exactly is happening there. And some of the issues likely to come up for conversation there include the running mate question that has always been an issue of speculation. And, of course, the ongoing party primaries, whereby, there have been some discontent, in some pockets of Azimio. Those are some of the issues that they are likely to discuss there, but of course we'll be keeping an eye and of course keeping our ears on the ground to see exactly and to hear exactly what the party is going to say. We're expecting President Uhuru Kenyatta and ODM leader Raila Odinga, among other Azimio la Umoja leadership to grace the occasion. And so our team is already there, and we'll be bringing you all that information once we get it. This is BIZ. We are live from Broadcasting House. My name is O'Brien Kimani, and of course remember, our reporters are on the ground to bring you the latest in the county near you. The conversation on the home ownership in Kenya is coming up next after this. Well, at O'Brien Kimani is my Twitter handle. At KBC Channel 1 is the Twitter handle. Hashtag BIZ is what is likely to trend or what we want to trend this morning. And of course, we would want to hear your views on home ownership in Kenya. Have you ever attempted to buy or to build home, or have you ever actually done that? Well, what are some of the challenges that you went through, and what lessons have you learned that can help some other people on how to evade them or how to go through them? Those are some of the issues that we want to discuss this morning. Remember, I told you that we want to focus on the issue of home ownership. And the question has always been, is it proper to buy or to build? Well, it's all depend on where you stand. And that's why we have George Mburu in studio. He knows a thing or two about building or buying a home. And that's why he's here to help us go through this conversation. He's the CEO of Mizizi Home. He's been here before, and we want to continue with this conversation. Thank you very much indeed, George, for joining us here. I know, being in this business for quite a long time, and of course, amassing tremendous amount of experience.
Sure.
This is a question that has always faced you, be it from yourself or from potential homeowners.
Yeah.
What advice do you give them?
Sure. Yeah, actually from my point of view, I look at it as the question being buying a ready house or buying a house that is off plan or constructing for your own. Because when you look at buying off plan, it is basically you hold hands with a developer who has been there, and you hold hands, you walk the journey together. Then there is the issue of buying a ready house. This is a house that already has been constructed by somebody. Maybe they had bought for themselves to live, and maybe for one reason or another they want to sell that property. Or you are buying from a developer who has already developed the property, and now they are selling it as ready. And for sure, as you had said, there are pros and cons for each option that you opt. And now for me, now it is now to try and come, we diverge into the issue, and we look at the pros for each and the cons for each, because everything has its pros and cons. And for me, when I look at buying a ready property, either you are buying from somebody who is maybe reselling, they had bought but they have a need for money, they want to resell it, or from a developer. You find most of the time it's an expensive affair. And again, you may not know how safe is that building, because the building may be refurbished, or the house, you don't know how it was done. And again, it is an expensive affair. Again, you do not you can't say for sure how stable is this house. So for me, buying a ready one, those are some of the challenges. For one, it's an expensive affair. Again, you do not know how solid, how good, what were the property materials that were used for coming up with this house. Those
so
are some of the
it becomes very hard, you know, for you to ascertain the integrity of the house itself, you know, the structure itself. And also the other challenge is that you know, when you buy an already complete house, I mean, you cannot personalize it. And you see, you know, a home is supposed to be a very personal affair.
It's a very personal affair.
But those are the what you call the cons.
Sure.
What about the advantages of buying a ready house that you're just moving in?
Yes. There are advantages of also buying a ready house, because there is no that time. You don't have to wait. A ready house, it is ready for you, you pay and you get in. So there is that advantage. If you need something very fast, you need to occupy very fast, it's a viable option.
That you can just pay for the house today, and then in the afternoon you're moving in.
You move in. It's just like it's like you are renting. It's like moving from this house to the other. You have paid rent, you have paid the deposit, you get in. So now this is a house that you are buying. You have looked at everything, the paperwork, the title is good, you have agreed on the price, but you find the price can be a bit high. Now, we look now at the other option of now building.
But even before we go to building, I mean, how then do you get to know whether, you know, this price, or what are the fundamentals to consider, you know, if you decide that I'm going to buy a house? There are fundamentals that you have to look into. What are these?
Fundamentals, whether you are buying a ready house or you are buying an off-plan or you want to build a house, the most important, you need to do your proper due diligence. You need actually to understand, where is this house, first of all, even being sold? Is it a developer who does that? And have they done it in the past? And is the like, let's say the title, is the title legit? Because once you are buying something, you need to have its titles. Is it legit? So you need to involve
and how do you do that?
You do that by involving professionals. When you are buying a property, it's not like you're not investing a few shillings. It involves a lot of money. So you need to do your proper due diligence. You need to know, is this the true owner of this house that you are talking with? Have they agreed to sell the property, for example, because you find it's a couple and maybe the husband is selling, the wife is not aware. Have they agreed that they are going to sell off this property? Because you may find it's maybe a matrimonial home. Somebody maybe has the need of money, and maybe one party decides, let me sell because I need very fast money. Have they come to a conclusion that as a couple or as a family, they are disposing of the property? Yes. If it's a developer, is this their work? and have they been licensed to sell? Have they been selling? And this particular property that they are selling, does it have a title? You need to do the search.
Yep.
Is the title good? Is the property
there encumbrances?
Encumbrances.
Yep.
Then you also need to involve professionals.
Very good.
You need to involve,
I want you to hold on, a thought, because we should be coming back, with more conversation. Remember, the conversation here is around home ownership in Kenya, to buy or to build. Let's now come back to the studio, whereby we continue with our conversation on home ownership, to buy or to build. House owners' headache has always been a challenge, and of course we're having this conversation with the CEO of Mizizi Homes, George Mburu. Thank you very much. Let's continue. I mean, you were talking about if you decide to pursue the option of buying a house, I mean, the due diligence that you need to do, and we were stuck at confirming or checking the validity of the title deed. And this is where a lot of people get it wrong. So the question comes, I mean, then how do you ascertain that the document that I have in the name of a title deed is genuine or is fake?
Yeah, thank you very much. You will notice that nowadays things have become much easier, because previously people did not know where to start if you need to do a search. But nowadays it's very easy. We have land registry all over in the counties. Yeah, so in whichever county that you want to purchase your property, you just need to know where the land registry is. You can either take yourself there, or you can maybe send somebody, a representative, and at a very small cost, 500, you have the search. Within a day, within maybe a few hours or a few minutes, you have, and you can actually even dig deeper, know the history, get the green card. Nowadays it's very easy, know the history of that land. Has it ever had any caveats and what have you? And again, you can also do more due diligence on the same. When it comes now to the agreement, the writing of the agreement, it should be very clear that we are selling to you this. It is something we have consented as a family. Make sure the spousal consent is there. Make sure everything is good. So that one now involves a lawyer. So you need a lawyer. And again, you need also now to do what do you call it? A survey. You need a surveyor to confirm that that land is not public land, because again you can do your search and you find, so that one now is in the survey of Kenya. You can either also go yourself if you understand, or you can make use of a surveyor who is competent. They go and they tell you, yes, this land is there. There are no it's not a public land, because you find other people, like we have seen a case, a whole estate was built within a forest reservation. So that one you also need to ascertain this land, this property I'm buying, go to the Survey of Kenya, or have a surveyor do for you the work, have the professionals do for you the work. It will be much easier, but it is something that is not difficult. It is something that if you have the time, you can be able to ascertain yourself. And again, it's always good to talk to neighbors around that area, get to know the history of the place, this land, because again, we as Africans, we are also spiritual beings. Is this land, are there any bad omens? Yeah. So, and when you're buying your home, this is something you are planning to live there. It's an investment. It's a home. Yeah. So you need to do your proper due diligence. Take yourself there. Make use of professionals. And nowadays we have so many professionals, so it has become quite affordable. Previously, it was quite an expensive affair. Getting a surveyor to do for you all those maybe the searches, ascertain the land is there. It was a very expensive affair. Nowadays,
so I mean, so you've done enough due diligence. I mean, you have gone to the Survey of Kenya. You've confirmed that the land is indeed not a public space. You've also done you've gone to the Ministry of Lands. You've confirmed that the title is genuine. You've managed to get access to the green card, which is a very important document for you to confirm that yes, it is true that this title is genuine, is real, and the owner is real. Is it also important for you to get a professional advice on the structural integrity of the building?
Sure. Yeah, that's another thing very, very important. Now you have agreed everything. Now you need to look at the integrity. That is where now the issue of engineers, you need also an engineer to come and ascertain, and it's very easy for them, because the most important thing and the integrity, the biggest integrity of any building is the foundation. If the foundation is laid very well, the way it should be, for sure, even the upper part, it is going to be well. But if the foundation of the building or the property you're purchasing was compromised, for sure you'll find that you'll have a problem. And this one can be ascertained very easily by the surveyors. We have, by the engineers. Yeah, look at the swell. Were the columns well set? And they just need to look at the columns, the pillars. They'll be able to ascertain this building. Is it very solid? If it's very solid, the other parts maybe you can get a compromise depending on how much they're selling. This paint was not as quality as maybe I expect.
Those are what we call the aesthetics that you can improve on if you want to.
Yeah, sure.
Like the color, those small details.
Issues you can always.
But it's very hard for you to change the foundation of a building.
The foundation you can.
And if you're going to reinforce it, then it's going to be very expensive.
It will be also a very expensive affair.
And so when you look at all those intricacies, search for title deeds, going to the Kenya survey of Kenya, to check on various issues, hiring engineers, to look at the integrity of the structure. I mean, all those issues, they add to the cost of buying that building, right?
Sure, true.
So how do you get to a point for you to decide that, yes, buying this house is a good idea or is a good deal? Yeah.
Once you do all those investigations and you are comfortable with the costing, because as we started by saying, for sure it is a quite expensive affair. But if you have the means and you do not have the time to wait, and you have the means, here it calls upon you have the means and you don't want to waste time. So if you have the means, you don't want to waste the time, for sure that's the best route for you. But you find for the majority of people who has all that money, that is now where now a developer or somebody who has or is in the field or does that one on a day-to-day basis gets in. Because, like, for example, let's say Mizizi Africa Homes Limited, we have access to lawyers, we have access to engineers, we have access to surveyors, because we are doing for mass, we are doing for many people. When you are doing one unit, it becomes quite costly, because you will pay that person whether you are doing how many. But if for us, like, we are doing several units, you find that cost will be shared among us
it's going to be
distributed. So that one, by extension, also makes the house cheaper or more affordable. Yeah, that's why now, like for us, Mizizi Africa Homes Limited, like for now, we do off-plan. We are constructing together. Yes, there is that issue of waiting for a period of, let's say, 1 year, but you can be able to ascertain the integrity of the land. You'll be assured there's no risk of being hit by a rogue broker. You'll be sure the integrity of the foundation, because foundation is the key. Most people actually, and they will be surprised, most of the customers, they look at the
aesthetics.
The aesthetics, as we have called them. They fail to look at the most crucial, which is the foundation. And the foundation is the most crucial, and it is the one that takes a lot of time. You find somebody who is doing the proper work, the foundation may take some bit of time. Because if you are constructing on cotton, you need to excavate all that cotton.
All of it.
All of it. If you do not excavate all of it, you need to be advised by the engineer to have very solid columns, bases. You have strong bases, and that house is suspended with very strong columns. Yeah? There is how you can go about that. But you find most people are not keen on that. Most people are keen on the color of the house, on the small aesthetics, as you have called them. But the most important I can advise for any buyer, for any customer, the foundation is the key. Make sure the foundation is of integrity, of high integrity. The construction, how is the soil? Is it cotton? Is it red soil? How far is it?
Which is the best soil for were you to choose, when you're deciding to construct a house?
Yeah, thank you very much. That's a very, very good question. When you want to build a house, the best soil is one, red soil.
Red soil.
Yes, red soil. This is because with red soil, there's no expansion. With cotton soil.
But in most parts of Nairobi, you have cotton soil.
Yeah, in most parts of Nairobi, you find doing the foundation is quite costly. And this is also an issue that people who opt maybe to construct on their own and they do not have prior advice, they find it very costly because you are advised, yes, you have bought this piece of land, it's on cotton. Before you actually start laying the first stone, the amount of money which has gone there already discourages you. And here in Nairobi, for sure,
because you have to remove all that cotton soil.
Yeah,
and you fill it with something else.
For the house to be solid, and for there to be no cracks, for the house not to collapse in case of anything, you must extract all that cotton. Alternatively, there's an alternative. You can have very strong columns. And that can be advised by the engineers.
But that, of course, will be also very expensive.
It will be expensive because you have to make use of steel. We have steel bars. You have to use, depending on the height of the house, you need to look at the kind of bars you are going to use. You can use from D10, D12, D16, D20, depending with how high it is going to. You need strong beams. So if it is going very high, the more the cost of the foundation.
And then, of course, you have to also factor in the cost of concrete.
Yeah. Now, when you're talking of now the columns, you have to factor the cement, you have to factor the ballast, you have to factor the sand, and everything that goes into that column. And they're also quite expensive, especially at this time. The cost of living is quite high, so now everything has skyrocketed. Yeah, it's quite expensive. So if you are buying a piece of land to construct, it's very important to look at the soil. How is that soil? And you find that we have people who are professionals on that, advising this kind of soil and how tall the building it can hold. Some of these small issues that people ignore, maybe not using that soil. Somebody who is an expert in that soil analysis. You do not pay a small fee, but in the long run you pay. It's
going to be very expensive for you.
A house collapsing, which is very expensive.
And now that Nairobi is definitely a hotspot for the real estate industry.
Sure.
And a lot of people are buying space or land here in Nairobi, and of course opting to construct their own homes without, of course, putting so much thought into what you're talking about. And we know Nairobi, more than 90% of the land in Nairobi is cotton soil.
Sure.
So is it then a good idea for you to buy land in Nairobi and build there, as an individual?
Sure. Yeah, thank you very much. You will notice that most of the land that is in Nairobi and most of the estates, people have built houses for occupying, for people to live. And the few who are privileged to construct maybe bungalows and mansionettes, those are people who are fortunate enough to get those lands maybe as inheritance, or they were able to buy it back in the days, because now the price of land in Nairobi has really skyrocketed, and it's almost impossible to get or to do standalones in Nairobi. Like for example, we do Mizizi Africa Homes Limited, we do bungalows and mansionettes. It's very difficult to do those kinds of houses here in Nairobi because it will beat logic. It will be quite expensive. It will beat logic. The price of land, let's say a 50 by 100 in Nairobi already, without considering the cost of construction, goes into millions, tens of millions. So buy a 50 by 100 for 10 million. You have not even started the construction. The construction for the house, even if it's a bungalow, consumes more than 2 million. By the time you are done with that house, it's over 15 million. What is the return on investment? So
those are very fine details that you have to look into, and of course think through the process before you decide that this is the avenue that I want to follow. Let's now look at the issue of off-plan. I mean, it has become very popular in the last 10 years, but of course it is also one of the riskiest because yes, I'm giving you're selling to me a plan that is on paper. that I want to put up this project, and so you want my money for me to help you in the implementation of that project. But in the process, a lot of people have lost, of course, their money. So how do you safeguard your interest, as a potential homeowner, that you do not invest in a project that is going to get you into losses?
Yeah, thank you very much. As we stand today, what I can call upon, especially the government, because we know nowadays we have housing being one of the big four agendas, which means this is something that the government should give a priority. And this is something I feel it is a high time, and it's long overdue for us to regulate housing the way it should be. And private developers, they are given the support, but there is also the regulations. You are given you are supported, but again, you are given, you also become responsible. You are accountable to somebody. And I will give an example of our banks, our banking sector here in the country. You will find it is actually one of the most attractive thing here in the country. If you go to the money markets, you will find banks are doing so well because they have become so attractive. Why? Because they have a regulating body, the CBK. And by so doing, there is also a level playing ground, such that, for example, this bank can't charge this interest more than there's that level playing ground. So what they all have to do now, they just need to do something very simple. Customer service, customer care, everything is well catered. And you find that even foreign investors, our financial international partners, they are ready and willing. The World Bank is ready and willing because you have a body here which is regulated, which is well established. You find you attract even foreign investors. So as we stand, this is a call as a country, because we are becoming a middle income earner by Vision 2030. That's our Vision 2030. Some of these things we can benchmark from our financial institutions, and the same we take into the real estate sector, which is also a very lucrative or a good source of income or revenue for our country. And as we stand for now, because we have not gotten there, we'll get there. The most important thing now for customer or somebody who is wants to partner with a developer is you need to be very keen on the kind of a developer you are dealing with, because you find some of the people who are doing it, and they had gotten into it because of the love of the money, which is the cause of all evil, and maybe they duped some people and they went with the money, and now it catches up to them. They rebrand. They change the names, they become
and that is becoming so rampant.
Yeah. So you need to be very careful. You need to know the history of the person you are dealing with. Are these people who have the interest of the customer to have an affordable house? Don't be encouraged by just the outside. Also seek to understand these people. Talk to people who have done it, have walked the journey, and you get to hear for sure everything has their challenges here and there. So talk to somebody and you hear the challenges the people maybe who you are have walked the journey are talking about. If it is small issues of let's say the escal, yeah, those small issues, those are things you can deal with. But you feel somebody is telling you, I dealt with that person, I lost my money, I burnt my fingers, and again now you say, let me take this. There's a big difference between taking a step of faith and going into a risk, knowing.
And jumping
into the fire.
Head on into a risk.
Yeah, but it's important to take that leap of faith, because for sure you need the house. You know, if you need to go it alone, it will be quite expensive, and it's actually more riskier. But you can join with people who are doing it. They have the interests of the client, of people who need homes at heart. Yeah.
So, and then the other issue that comes, of course, is, yes, indeed, of course, I mean, I've done my due diligence, and I can confirm that, the company that I'm dealing with is genuine, is, it is well registered in Kenya, and the people that you're dealing with, of course, they are people of integrity. But the other issue is, how do I confirm that, yes, what I'll get value for my investment, at the end of the day. I want to get what they are promising is what they are going to deliver at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's very simple, and it's a very small formula in mathematics. For you to know the unknown, you start from the
knowns.
Yeah, start with the small. What do you know? What do you know about these people? when did they start? Which projects have they started? Where are they? Have they been delivered? Are they on course? It's very easy. Start from the simple. Start from the known automatically, and even in anything. If you understand the history of anything, even when now we are in politics, if you want to understand what kind of a person you are dealing with, look at their history. Look at when he was a small person down there. How are they? The same case when you're doing your proper due diligence for a company, you want to invest your money. Look at how is the journey so far. What have they delivered? Within how long? If you feel for sure this person, maybe he has not hit 100%, but is at 80%, 90%, I'm able to take that leap of faith. Because there's a difference between taking a risk and a leap of faith. Take the leap of faith, because again, you can't just hold your arms and expect things to happen, because things are becoming expensive day by day. So you can say, let me wait until there's that somebody who will be very comfortable with. And maybe you take your 2 years. You had saved 2 million. I'm telling you, in the next 2 years, the cost of housing now will be even higher because of inflation and the cost
that
of
one is guaranteed.
Yeah, so take the step of faith. Say this person, and I normally encourage, just like getting into a marriage. You can't say you're not getting any younger, and you say, let me wait for the beautiful ones to be born. It is you work with what you have. You look at somebody, do they meet at least 80% of what I look for in a partner? The bare minimum, because this is a long-term thing. This person, do I want to have a family with him? Yeah. So the same case when you're buying a house. Do your proper diligence. This person is coming from here. They may not be 100%, because for sure, even with our country, we know we are still work in progress. Yeah, and even ourselves, we are work in progress. But if they meet the minimum threshold, you have your minimum threshold. For me, my house must be this standard. Yeah,
those are what we call the irreducible minimums.
Irreducible minimums. Then take the step of faith, move with time. You will find that, and actually construction is something that is easy once you are used to it.
Very good. In the interest of time, because I can see our time is very well spent, now you have done all that, and you have paid, you have given the deposit that is needed, and now the project, has already kicked off.
Sure.
How do you follow through for you to know that people are not cutting corners?
Sure.
Like when it comes to foundation, it has been done well. When it comes to the columns and beams, everything has been done according to standards. So that you don't end up, getting into a house that is structurally completely off.
Yeah, sure, very true. The most important thing, in case you get yourself to get a home through the off-plan model, what I can encourage anybody, do not just give your money, then stay and wait for the ready house. Like for us, Mizizi Africa Homes Limited, our sites are open for visit anytime. So if there's nothing to hide, then there is no problem. It's normally said you should trust somebody, but always verify, because if there is nothing to hide,
but confirm.
Sure, yeah, confirm. So if there is that transparency, because the issue of transparency when it comes to off-plan is the most important. Is there transparency? Can I go and see my house? Can I see the kind of a column? Can I even take a piece and go and see whether it is it's a quality? Yeah, so that transparency, once it's there, for sure, even it's like you are building. For off-plan, it's like you are in between buying and constructing. That is like the middle ground. You are buying, yes, because you are making use of professionals and people who understand the industry in totality. And again, you are doing it because you are involved each and every step of the way, and that's why we Mizizi Africa Homes Limited, for sure, within our short time that we have stayed, we have attracted a very huge clientele, and this is because of that transparency. Somebody comes to the ground, they see there's nothing to hide.
Very well. Because we have to wind up, quickly, I want to hear from you in about 15 or 20 seconds.
Sure.
There's somebody who is asking a question here, Rose Kivaya, on Twitter, and they're asking, between buying a car getting married
Yeah.
or buying a house, what should you opt for first?
Yeah, thank you very much. That's a very good question, because those are things that we need. Now, I can't tell you to buy a house so that you get married. Maybe that wife is one who will come with your support to buy that house. Again, if you use your car to move around, it's your tool of trade. Maybe you need it to improve on getting income. I can't again tell you to stop to not buy a car. But key point here, what kind of a car are you buying? Is it a car that is just luxury you want your friends to see, to know that you are doing well? And if you are marrying, are you marrying a wife because of beauty? Yeah, because so that people can see? It depends what is the motive. And for sure, those things are crucial. You need a home, you need a family, you also need a car because of mobility. Now, it's up to you now to prioritize. I can have a small car, yeah, to help me move around, and actually to help me make more money. Yeah, I need a wife because I need a shoulder to lean on. I need somebody to motivate me, somebody I can share my dreams, and they can come and we walk the journey. And that one of that dreams is to own a home. They maybe have their income, your income. Can we put it together in a circle? Within no time, can we take a loan? Can we go to Mizizi Africa Homes Limited? We start that
or
journey
any other
of owning a
company
house.
for that matter.
Yeah, because for sure, or any other company, because for sure, no single company in Kenya or even anywhere can be able to meet the need of housing, because the housing need is so big
and diverse.
Yeah, and diverse.
Very good. Thank you very much. I mean, you know, the length and the short of it is that it's all depend on what you want to do at the end of the day.
Sure.
Thank you very much indeed for your invaluable insights, you know, and of course joining us here to help us through with that. It's a very complicated, of course, subject, and of course a lot of people, you know, have fallen prey, you know, to cons and lost their entire savings.
Information is power.
Yeah.
So I'm also happy you have invited me. Let's keep on sharing. If people have this information, these things becomes easy. Very
good. To buy or to build, that's a conversation that we have been having here with George Mburu, the CEO of Mizizi Africa. And of course, you have heard it from him. It's up to you now to deduce what works for you and then you go for that idea. Because remember, there is no one fit for all. Every person is different and every need must be addressed, you know, accordingly. You're watching BIZ Check. We are live from Broadcasting House. The conversation around the engineering industry in Kenya is coming up next. So stay right here. And of course, remember, we are still keeping an eye on what's happening at Kenyatta International Convention Center, where the top leadership of Azimio la Umoja is meeting, you know, to deliberate on a few issues, you know, that are facing the party. And so we'll be keeping an eye on exactly what is happening there. But for now, let's first of all switch gear to a different topic.